Slaves here with the Senior Pickleball Report powered by TNC Network. Let's get it going. Today we're going to introduce to you two gentlemen who have bought a franchise in the newly formed National Pickleball League, which begins this June. And their team is the Boca Raton Picklers, and that is Rick Redemar, practicing attorney, and he's starting to dip his toes into the pro circuit as well. And the voice of many program, including Pickle TV on Amazon Prime and Inside World Pickleball, Carl the Foster. Our conversation is really good, and we touch on a lot of different areas, including where the game is going, where it's come from, and what senior pro pickleball is becoming, and the newly formed team and league they are part of. So stay tuned for that. But first, if you like this content, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell, check out our socials and all the links in the descriptions. As you can see, we have many things to check out for paddles and footwear. So hit those links and help us out as well. All right, on to the interview with Rick and Carl. Okay, Rick Redemar and Carl the Foster, ownership of the Boca Raton Picklers. Welcome to the Senior Pickleball Report, guys.
Hey, glad to be here, Mike. It's always a pleasure to talk pickleball with fanatics out there like yourself.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for having us on. I really appreciate you taking an interest in this.
Absolutely. Rick, we'll start with you because Carl is a little more well-known in the pickleball landscape. People see his face on television. He's talking to pros. He's involved in a lot of different entities in pickleball. So talk to us a little bit about just who you are and how this crazy wiffle ball game entered your life.
So as crazy as it may sound, we really didn't know much about this game down here in South Florida. We play everything down here, and I heard the word pickleball when I was in Georgia vacationing, and COVID hits, and we're stuck. I have 3 boys, all adults, very athletic. So we decided to buy 4 paddles, go to Dick's store and buy 4 paddles and a package deal. And we went out to the local park and we started playing. And who do I see but Carl Foster there, who I hadn't seen in we've been friends for over 25 years. We played tennis, basketball, all sorts of things together. So we started playing and immediately were obsessed. I mean, you know what I'm talking about if you're a pickler, because that's what a pickler is, a person
that's right.
That's addicted to pickleball. So the rest is history. I mean, Carl and I have played tournaments together, done all sorts of things together. So it was just a journey that we needed to go through.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get it. We all make that trip to the sporting goods store and you're like, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to be into this. So I'll start with something. And then 3 weeks later, you're buying a $180 paddle.
No, 3 weeks later, I meet Carl over there and Carl's like, what are you doing with those rackets? He pulls out like 10 paddles out of his bag. He says, here, use this. Bah, bah, bah. And it was like, from then on, it was history.
Yeah. Space age technology can change your game.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Engage was one of my sponsors. When I ran into Rick and I saw him playing with this little Kmart paddle, I said, come on, You can't be serious, bro. If you're going to play pickleball, here, try this one out. Get into the real world.
It's a serious game with a serious name.
Right.
Right on. So, Carl, obviously, Inside World Pickleball, you're involved with ATP Tennis. You're interviewing people. Fill in the blanks in some of the spaces for me and how pickleball became this obsessive for you on some level, because, you just bought a team.
Right. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And as Rick mentioned, I actually started when COVID hit. I was doing the tennis tournament, the ATP tennis tournament. I've been the voice of that for Delray Beach for 25 years. And the owners, about 6 months before COVID even, they said, well, we're going to do a pickleball show and we need you. I do all their TV work. So they said, we need you to research all because we want you to host a 30-minute special. And I said, I have no clue what pickleball is. And I said, I don't know where I've been hiding. I said, well, you guys are going to do what? They said, yeah, we're going to go up to PGA Verano. They built 27 pickleball courts at Coulter Homes. and we're going to put this tournament on, amateurs and
Right.
pros. So I started looking it up and researching it and stuff. And I was totally immersed in the golf and tennis at that time, doing charity events and stuff and broadcasting. And so fast forward to the tournament, I go up there with my camera crew. We started interviewing people like Melissa McCurley, and I'm seeing about 250 people from all over the country, all ages, playing the sport. And I go, what is going on? Where have I been hiding? I mean, where's the sport been hiding? I'm interviewing Rob Cassidy. He was just breaking in. He said, I want to get to the broadcast world. Can you help me? He said, he was like a wild man out there, a young Rob Cassidy. He's still a wild man, as we know. But now I've seen him grow all the way into the pro level, playing some unbelievable pickleball. But, seeing these different players, Steve Kennedy was one of the first guys I ran into. And when I talked to him and I interviewed him, and I interviewed Lee Rosenthal, Lucky Lee, who Merchant Murario, and I didn't know.
Yeah, Merchant.
Now with Lee Rosenthal in event business, and Merchant Murario is right here. He was teaching this morning when I'm playing right next to him on the court. And he's saying, okay, is he going to be your number one draft pick? I said, I don't know. We don't know. He wants some
a lot of research into this. It's just in throwing darts.
Right. Yeah. We're trying to do some homework on this. So I really got involved in the pickle. So I decided to start. I started Inside Florida Tennis and Inside Florida Golf TV shows many years ago. So I said, Melissa McCurley said, you've been doing this for several years, the U.S. Open. I said, everybody. Is anybody doing a TV show? She said, no, we need help with media to get the word out about pickleball. So I said, all right, I'm going to start Inside Florida Pickleball, exactly what I did with tennis and golf. And I went out, started a show. I didn't touch the paddle, played pickleball yet. I did my first couple of shows. My first years were Lee and Anna Lee Waters. I'm interviewing them. Lee Rosenthal was out there. He came out, and I got Steve Kennedy to do some tips for me. And I started putting a magazine show together, and I started learning about the game. I did 2 shows before I said, I probably should play this game, at least try hitting, with the paddle. And so I got an engaged paddle from Steve, and I engaged to sponsor his tip of the week. And next they're sending me paddles. So I'm out there playing. I played the first time I ever played with Lee Rosenthal. I played against some friends of ours who are still good friends of ours today, Dr. Richard Shee and his son, Randy. They were my first match ever at Little El Rio Park. And I remember playing that match like it was yesterday, and it was like over 3 years ago, and just out there trying to play tennis on a pickleball court, like a lot of us do when we come out of tennis.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Bang away, and I'm still banging today. So that's how I got into pickleball, and I'm not a dinker. And Rick can attest to that. He's trying to hurt me.
You tennis guys got those, you got the ground stroke. So it's interesting because in my life, Rob Cassidy keeps popping up. In fact, I was in Ocean Beach, Point Loma, outside of San Diego there. My cousin lives there, and I went to just a rec center to play on a random like Wednesday or something. And I had played there the previous week, and it's, a bunch of people that are like anybody else, 3.5s and Rob walks in and Mills Miller, Chris. And I'm the only guy that knows who these 2 guys are. And they're warming up, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna at least get a game with these guys. And I got to play with Mills against a local woman and Rob, and sweetest guys. Played really, kept the game, stretched it out for us all, and made it a lot of fun. But it's one of those things. So Rob comes up in my life, and then the other thing you brought up is jumping into a program like you're doing, Inside World Pickleball. I had been playing pickleball probably 3 months when I started this podcast, and it was, kind of trying to drive some traffic to a friend of mine's website. And so you bit off way more than I did. I had played a little. I had a little YouTube channel. I wasn't being broadcast to a lot of people, and to pull that off is pretty impressive. And then to kind of fall in love with the game, that also helps.
Definitely became addicted very fast. Couldn't play enough. Still can't play enough. And then I got involved. I met Ken Herman at the APP Tour.
Right.
And I said, you know what? I'm doing the tennis tournament in Delray Beach. Why don't we bring a pickleball tournament here? We got a big stadium, and I know this place like the back of my hand. So I talked Ken into starting the Delray Beach Pickleball Open, which we're getting ready for our 3rd year coming up in May. And first year we had Ben Johns. We had all the stars, all the young players there at Delray Beach. As you know, the J.W. Johnson, the Julie Johnson, Stanley Waters, now Ignatowicz and Anna Bright, they all live in this area. So we're blessed in our backyard to have these great talents. Merchant Murario. I mean, these guys practice with us in Boca on a daily basis, you know, so not that we're playing.
How cool is that? Yeah.
But they're right here, you know, we're seeing a pickleball, and it's pretty awesome to see they progress over the years.
Absolutely. So Rick, talk to me a little bit about how you became involved in the Picklers and the team, and how you and Carl kind of came to be part of the ownership here.
So obviously, personally, I am 59 years old, so I love the senior tour.
Right.
It didn't exist. And we always go to all the tournaments, play in all the tournaments. And Carl reached out to me one day. We were online and we saw that they were creating the National Pickleball League. And they were asking for interested owners to submit, our application. So Carl called me and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And, Carl and I, we've been business partners in so many things for so many years. So I said, "Listen, this sounds like a great idea." So we started to investigate a little bit more. We submitted our application. And of course, you got Beth Bellamy, you got Rick, you got Michael Chen. I mean, three of the classiest people you'll ever meet. All they want to do is have fun and create an environment for these pros that are really superstars. I mean, think about it. At that age, to play at that level, it's amazing. And so this league was created by them, for them, to showcase them and create a beautiful environment. And thank God Chicken and Pickle came aboard, and they provided the venues through Rick's contacts. And so we were all interested. We were all fired up about it. Then the MLP starts their team playing.
Right.
And wow, what a great concept. And like Carl says, I mean, we can probably have a great team just from the people in Boca Raton that play in Carl and I will play pickleball 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening. I mean, we're just playing all the time. So that's really what turned us on. And then these great owners, I mean, we've met some of them, great cities. So we're hoping that, it becomes a really classy event that's full of fun and energy. And it's all about the senior champions. I know Michael Chen doesn't like us to say seniors. We're champions, Right. So, but it's a great group. I mean, you see the registered players. It's amazing. I know the level of players. I mean, we didn't mention Brian Levine. I mean, Daniel Gold, people that are just all around us all the time. So we're blessed, like he says, to have this opportunity that we're given, and we're hoping that it's going to be a really nice journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really going to help is you really have a built-in farm system with recognizable names, because people are eventually going to turn 50. And if they're still playing this sport and they've accomplished major things in this sport, they don't come in as somebody brand new who played D3 tennis. They came in as US Open champion, or they came in as multiple gold medalists, or, they've won enormous amounts of events. So I think the built-in name recognition that will be feeding to this sport at the champions level, for me, and I hate to say this, it almost seems like you can't miss it, because the talent level's already there.
Yes.
At a staggering level. And if you put it in a Chicken and Pickle where people are eating and drinking and it is up close. Yeah. It's insane how good these people are. And I don't think people realize you can't pick it up necessarily always on television, but to go to a Chicken and Pickle and have that environment and have these names, and then more names coming in as the years go. Carl, talk a little bit about that, because these people and you talk to them. Talk about, what you think the seniors can show the world, really.
No, it's just we had an amazing match. I go back to one of the best pickleball matches I've seen. It was our first year in Delray Beach in the evening. It was Steve Kennedy and his partner Jaime against Rick Witzkin. And they were battling back and forth. Steve is cramping up. I'm feeding him pickle juice. And these guys were going back and forth, man. And they were always getting the fisticuffs. The quality of, Rick Witzkin is not a shy guy. He's out there just fired up and he's so exciting to watch. And he gets entertainer. The other players, Steve Kennedy, who I've known since I started in pickleball, and he's just not only a great teacher, a great human being, but just such a nice guy, and just always he'll play with anybody. He'll teach anybody. and he's a real ambassador to the sport. And he still has that competitive. He's had a few surgeries. He was a great tennis player growing up. So it's great to see these guys have their own league, because the champions, like I see in tennis, we have the Champions Tour in tennis.
Right.
Leads the younger guys, and there's no reason. I mean, and pickleball at 50 plus, these guys are playing some high-end pickleball that still can battle. I mean, Mercher, Rick Witzkin, these guys can play with the Ben Johnson, these guys on a certain level as well. So I'm not saying singles necessarily, but as far as doubles and the strategy that's involved with pickle, it's just to see these guys, like you said, it's one thing to watch them on TV, and the seniors, as we know, don't get the TV exposure, and that's why the whole league was started, because the other guys are all getting, the PPA is just catering to the young pros. The APP is taking more of an interest in the Champions Tour players.
Right.
But the thing is, these guys, once people come out, like you said, at Chicken and Pickles, and then once we start hosting some home matches next year and tie it into our regular main event, because our champion, we try to showcase the champions or the senior pros, at least the singles finals, doubles finals, mixed doubles, and put them on our championship courts, so they are seen on live stream, and people come out and sit on courtside, and I'm like 5 feet away and watching Rick Witzkin and Steve Kennedy and Beth Bellamy and Gigi Fernandez and these people playing. It's just amazing to watch, how they've adapted to the sport. And I heard a guy this morning, Merchant Murario, was coaching Jacob from Lotus, Rick, for about an hour. And Jacob came afterwards. He goes, "This guy has so much knowledge. I didn't know how much I don't know about pickleball till Mercher gave me an hour lesson of dinking, different type of shots." That these guys are like surgeons. I mean, they know exactly the moves in this sport. And until you see that level and play against it, or even play with these guys, we had a chance to play with Steve Kennedy and Rick Witzkin after our press conference. Yeah, and these guys are like, it's a different level. I mean, they're not doing anything special, but they really are. They really are.
They really are. They've forgotten more about pickleball than most of us know.
You're right. You're right. Exactly right.
Hey, you know what we got? We have a newsletter. Yes. Senior Pickleball Report, SPR newsletter, which is cool because it keeps you up to date with not only pickleball, but an emphasis on senior pickleball. There's a link in our description, and you get caught up on all things pickleball. So check it out. Hey, if you're looking for very, very comfortable court shoes, in fact, the most comfortable court shoes I've ever worn, and I've worn a lot of them over the years playing different sports, try Fitville. We have a link in the description that gets you $20 off your purchase. Yeah, and that's what's exciting is, and I think people sort of don't realize that, people like Rick and Beth Bellamy and a lot of other pros, they still enter the open events when they can, and they can fit it in their schedule, and they do fairly well. They're not, one and out. They're winning some rounds and they're competing. And because they have the skill set that you mentioned and they have the experience. But the part I want to shift to really is the legacy that ownership like you and people like Rick and Beth and other folks are creating for players that are not seniors now, that are going to be coming in, and they'll have something like, pro golf has the senior tour, and like tennis that you mentioned has it. Talk a little bit, Rick, about what you think maybe building something for the future as well for people who are pros that maybe want to continue their career.
Well, that's really exactly when we first had our meeting with Michael Chen, one of the founders,
right,
and Beth. It was about that for them, is to create that legacy, to create a situation where it would be a feeder to all these awesome champions. And we're still battling on the number of players and how many people.
Sure.
We want to put a line. They're talking about putting a super seniors line.
Right.
So a 60 plus. But Rick made a good comment that between the age of 40 and 50 in competitive pickleball, you really are not competing with Ben Johns and the APP and the PPA down there.
Yeah.
And you're not competing in the 50s because you can't. So it's a real difficult zone to be in. So those are all the feeders that are going to be training to get to this league.
Right.
It's an incredible, and we're all in it for the pickleball. It's all about the pickleball. I mean, anybody can come in and just purchase a team, and it's 1,000 people. But we're really looking at what they're really looking for, and I give them a lot of credit, is the pickler owner, the guy
Right.
that's going to be obsessed with pickleball first, and then the rest is just gravy.
Yeah. And that's the thing, most of the folks involved at the champions level play, whether it's ownership or creating these leagues and teams or the players themselves, they've lived lives and they've established themselves and they've had success in different entities in life. And so this, on some level, is sort of the frosting on the cake. It's for the fun. We've made things already. We've accomplished things. And I think there's a lot that you all can teach the younger players who are just getting into this and developing their brand and developing their businesses.
So this is a big thing that Beth mentioned to us is like, she goes to these tournaments and unlike some of us, she advances and she's there for a period of time. It becomes a real hectic environment. So how often can you get, like you just said, 60 men and 60 women that are champion pros that have been successful in life, all of them, in a room, having beers and having hot dogs and chicken and whatever, and rooting your team on and having that kind of camaraderie and doing all the experiences and exchanging all these success stories that all of them, they're not making money in the pickleball tour. They've made it already. And that's basically along the lines of what you were just saying. I mean, and that's what a major part of this league is. It's to create a family type environment.
Yeah. Carl, talk about that. I mean, pickleball overall is a major community, but talk about the champions community. And you can tell I watch probably an unhealthy amount of senior pickleball on YouTube, but I can tell if I follow the match and I watch the handshakes after and I see them on the benches and then I follow their social media. This is a family. This is a group of people that hang out. They go to eat afterwards and they do things. So talk about becoming yourself even more involved in that family aspect in that community.
Yeah, no, I've seen the same thing as you at my tournaments. When we run, we see all the different people hanging out, and that's what's the beauty of pickleball versus tennis, where they're there all day long playing. So they're camped out and they got their own tents. They're traveling with their friends or their family that are rooting them on, and they're building up that culture. And I know Beth Bellamy said, "Well, Jennifer LaCour is coming into the combine." I mean, the Hall of Famers, the tradition of people that have been around that we're going to be able to learn from because they were involved before we even knew what pickleball was. These guys they're pioneering and seeing how they progressed. And now to be able to come to full circle, because I think everybody playing pickleball has some level of competitiveness. They say, okay, we're just playing for the fun, but deep down inside, they want to win a gold medal. They want to win.
They do.
Not so much they're winning prize money, but they want the bragging rights. It's more the ego and to still be competitive. I'm going to be 71 years old. I'm still playing singles and being competitive, and I want to win a gold medal.
That's amazing.
I don't want to win money, but I need to try hard, and I want to go out there and just be able to perform and still say, I was on the golf course withering away before in basketball, and all of a sudden I'm competing again like a 20-year-old kid. I'm a maniac. My wife's going nuts. What are you doing? You're playing too much.
Are you stretching? Yeah,
stretching afterwards.
Exactly. Well, fellas, I mean, I think that says it all, that, you guys are playing singles still and singles is no joke. If anybody's ever just stepped outside the doubles world and played a little singles, that's some serious running and some serious cardio, to say the least, and shot making. So, bravo to you two guys, because I've played a little singles in tournaments, and that's it's humbling to say the least.
The one thing now with the NPL, I think they're only going doubles in the format, so I think there may be some discussion, and the owners are going to be getting together. And what I like about Michael and Rick and Beth, they want the owners that they're looking at are people in the pickle business that we can decide. There's nothing etched in stone. They're saying, okay, this is the way the league's going to run. We're going to sort of vote on certain things and bring up recommendations and ideas and see what can be best for the league. Because maybe there's a dream breaker like the MLP where we have a singles, because a lot of the champions and guys just turning 50, coming in, the youngsters, the rookies and 50 years old. I mean, these guys are 20 years younger than me. These guys are youngsters, 50 years old. They're running around like maniacs. They can play singles. So I think that element, I think enough people will probably want to play singles to have that excitement and that element in there. story, but I think the mixed doubles, the men's doubles, and just the whole doubles format is going to be very good. But I think it's not going to be boring pickleball, no matter if Rick Witkin is playing Steve Kennedy. That's not going to be boring pickleball.
Absolutely not. And, you make a good point that, MLP in the year and a half it's been around, totally experimenting still. And I think, you'll have the opportunity to experiment this season and for a few seasons, because you find out what works for players, what works for ownership, and what works for fans and sponsors. So the fact that I think what I like is that we're in this moment that may never, it won't happen again in pickleball because it's happening right now, that we don't know. And it's exciting and it's new and we're trying things and we're developing leagues and sponsors and ownerships and companies. And I think it's kind of cool not to be so worried about the future, because the present in this sport it's mind blowing. I mean, I've only been in a year and a half and so much has changed. So talk about, as we leave here, we'll start with you, Rick, where you see the game going, not only from somebody who's part owner, but just the style of play as well.
Yeah, so I was like Carl, a banger, and I started to spend a lot of time thinking. But the more I see it at the higher level, I think that dinking is going away and it's becoming more, I guess, unless you're a super dinker, it's a banger game and it's just speeding up. So, but like this, everything is changing. You see new shots, the Scorpion, this. I mean, they're developing these shots out of nowhere. It's just like you said, it's a beautiful thing that's blossoming and it's open in all avenues. And it's just, we're just part of trying to figure out how it could just continue to be such an awesome sport that a 2-year-old, I see little kids that are 2-year-old with a paddle playing and then I see an 88-year-old person sitting there. It's just incredible. Like Carl says, Carl doesn't stretch, for the record. The guy gets out of his car and he goes out, and so I have to spend 20 minutes stretching. He just goes out. So unbelievable. But I mean, he can go out and play for 3 hours and then go out and play 3 more hours. What sport can you do that in?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And have a blast. So obviously, Carl, you're involved in tennis and golf for a long time. You've seen the amount of change within those sports, and now you're in pickleball. We'll leave it with you here. Where's this going?
Well, I've seen the evolution over the years. I've been a sportscaster and seen a lot of different sports come and go, the XFLs, and I've seen new sports come in. Just beach tennis, beach volleyball. I mean, a lot of different sports that tried to come in with different niches. I see padel now growing like crazy. Mm-hmm. So I think there's room, as long the thing about pickleball that I've seen that I haven't seen in other sports is the camaraderie and the culture of being able to play. I can play with my wife. I can play with my kids. I can play with my grandkids, and I can just have fun, and I can go compete with my other friends. So I take my family with me, and they're going to enjoy being around the atmosphere. It's not where you play a tennis match and you come back 2 days later, you're serious, you don't want to talk to anybody. I mean, we lose the game, we go have a beer. We go get some eat, we hang out. You know what? Yeah, I was upset I lost my bronze medal match, but you know what? There's another game tomorrow. So
absolutely.
I'm not getting too serious to myself. Like John McEnroe, let's get serious. Now he's playing So a year ago, he hated pickleball. He thought it was a sissy sport. It was just people couldn't play. Now he's cashing in for $1 million so he can play pickleball. I mean, so come on, guys.
Exactly.
But I see this. I haven't seen a sport like this come along, that's really captivated and is fast growing. And I think it's a Wild West. I was involved in the internet when the internet first came in. I see this same type of culture paradigm shift, that this is a high-speed train. Everybody's still trying to put stakes in the ground. I've been involved over 3 years, and I'm like you. I'm seeing every single day. I'm reading a new article, a new change. They're building a new facility with 60 courts over here. They can't build courts fast enough.
That's right.
Down here, country clubs are taking away tennis courts and putting pickleball courts. Leagues are popping up. Recreational leagues, ladies leagues. I mean, that's the beauty of the sport. And I think people are gravitating. It's not a fad. People thought it was a fad. It's going to come and go like other sports have.
Right.
This is here to stay. I'm glad we're part of it. We're so excited about. I was involved in team tennis with Billie Jean King. I owned a franchise.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I lost a lot of money, had a lot of fun, but it wasn't the right fit. I see this as a lot better fit than team tennis was, because of the culture of pickleball. And I think with the Champions Tour, I talked to Rick when they first announced it. I said, this is something we can really get excited about because we're already in the business. I'm already doing events, and I've already got sponsors, and I've already got the TV side. So this just, we're doing pickleball expos now.
Right.
So I can see we've set up the World Pickleball Group. I see this as part of the whole pickleball, everything the synergistically is fitting in together, and the excitement of seeing these guys play all the time. So, I'm looking at brackets now. I looked at the brackets of Pictona. I'm seeing a lot of names. The Combine, I'm probably not going to recognize half these people that come from all over the country, and they're even coming to Singapore and Ireland. People are flying in for this Combine to play in this league, which is exciting,
Yeah. And that's the thing. Once it goes international.
Yeah. I'll see you at the Olympics.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Carl Foster, Rick Redemar, thank you so much. Best of luck, Boca Raton Picklers, and in the NPL. And I hope to run into you guys at an event this season and have some chicken, pickle, and a beer.
Chicken, pickle, and a beer. Maybe we'll see you at the U.S. Open or see you at Chicken and Pickles. But I appreciate what you're doing to grow the sport, and especially for the seniors and the champion players. You got a nice niche there, and congratulations on your podcast. And I know starting anything, everybody has ideas, but actually starting it and making it happen, you're making it happen, brother. Good job.
All right, folks, hope you enjoyed that interview. If you get a chance, go out and check the National Pickleball League. We'll put a link in the description for their schedule, and get out there and root on the champion pro players in a team format. Should be pretty exciting. And hey, chicken and pickle, you can't go wrong. All right. Hey, let's pickle. New paddle company, Pickle, PCKL, great paddle line, great price points. Anything you want from starter paddle to intermediate to a pro series high level paddle. Check them out. Get 15% off using my discount code. Pickle. It's the future.